Hello students, welcome to Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University, and we are discussing our unit 1 with regard to emergence of sociology, and we are discussing very fascinating stories connected with Industrial Revolution and French Revolution. So when we talk about French Revolution, which was a very critical factor because as we all know, sociology emerged in France, and father of sociology, Auguste Comte, was a French philosopher in a way, and around 9th century lot of changes were taking place in French society because feudal economy was completely rural in its characteristic. Land was used solely for agricultural processes, and there was in a way complete absence of town life. However, the year preceding the revolution, tenant farmers were finding it very difficult to maintain their livelihood while paying excessive duties and taxes, and by 1787 the members of the middle class started beginning to form a kind of a revolutionary committee which drew up a set of demands so that the conditions socio-economic living of the tenant farmers can be taken care, and this was submitted to a central authority of the French state, the Estate General, a 300-year-old political body. We must also remember that the French society was categorized into three estates: nobility or aristocracy, clergy and peasantry. So in French Revolution, all these factors were playing very important role. Then in just prior to revolution, because any revolution doesn't take overnight, just prior to revolution it was dominated by intense class hierarchy. There was very strong impact of church, monarchy and feudal order on the French society, and there was clear cut segregation between the privileged classes and unprivileged classes. There was limited freedom, equality and mobility. In this background, in this context, lot of intellectual and enlightening awakening also took place, which led to the rise of rationality, scientific thinking and critical inquiry. People started questioning the conventional orthodox traditions. They were trying to question the monarchy, and there was lot of advocacy for human rights, liberty, equality, and also ideological foundations were laid because of these ideas in the French Revolution. Now, because of French Revolution, what happened? After French Revolution, monarchy and feudal system was overthrown. There was decline of church as an authority and as a separate institution also for that matter. There was rise of the feeling of citizenship, and with this rise of feeling of citizenship was also rise of values connected with democracy and state power. There was emphasis on individual rights and equality, which I think in almost all the revolutions across the world, these were the evolving values or evolving principles. There was also a lot of institutional changes which took place, especially in terms of education became state controlled and it was widely promoted. Church institutions got weakened and property rights also shifted to individual ownership. We also see emergence of modern legal and administrative systems which also contributed in strengthening the French society. Then apart from this political social structures, there was also change in family systems as well, because any revolution, any change definitely impacts multiple social institutions as well, and weakening of traditional kinship bonds was one of the outcomes of this impact on family system. There was rise of individualism within the family, equality in inheritance and family relations also was seen. Individual became the basic unit of society and state, which was not there before French Revolution. Simultaneously, we also witnessed there was a kind of social disorganization in terms of breakdown of family, church, and community structures. We also see there was loss of traditional norms and moral authority. There was rise in social unrest, suffering, and instability, and society was forced to adjust to new conditions rapidly. Now, the four factors what we have discussed so far in the earlier part 1, part 2 as well, all these factors, they led to certain kind of a ecosystem in the society. There was a kind of an intellectual crisis, and a need was felt to have a new kind of knowledge system. People began questioning, people began thinking, people began exploring what is society. People started thinking, how does it change? What are the factors which bring change in the society? How can it be reorganized? If there is a crisis, how can we reorganize the society? And in all this background, all the traditional explanations, you remember we were talking about Plato, Aristotle, the earlier traditional explanations were not sufficient to give answers to this kind of questions. And there was a need which emerged to understand society, and that is where our hero, our father of sociology, Auguste Comte, comes up with this solution that see, it is the sociology which is going to help us to understand the various facets, various challenges, various dimensions of society, and that discipline was sociology, which in its simplest sense is the study of society. So, sociology as a discipline arose in response to lot of social disorder and transformation. There was focus on collective life and social relationships. So, why the social relationships are important? What kind of changes takes place in this kind of social relationships? It started studying various social institutions like family, marriage, religion, community, political system, economy, and Auguste Comte, who is father of sociology, started emphasizing on rebuilding society through various social sciences and sociology in particular. Then sociology also aimed to restore order and understand the change. Industrial and French revolutions, which had deep impact in the entire society, bringing structural changes, technological changes, psychological changes, economic changes. So whenever there is a change, there is a change in your thought process, and it led, so all this kind of changes, when it was leading to loss of the traditional institutions, so this was creating a kind of a social crisis, and that is where sociology comes to our rescue to understand the society in its most beautifulest sense. So friends, in this first unit we have tried to discuss about French Revolution, Industrial Revolution, what were the different factors which contributed in the emergence of sociology, and how sociology emerged around 1838, 1839 as a new social thought which emphasizes on understanding society in a scientific manner, and how industrial revolution, which not only brought lot of opportunities, but it also led to lot of disruption, because of which society had to be understood in a scientific manner, and French Revolution also contributed tremendously. So this in brief was the story of sociology, story of emergence of our beautiful discipline called sociology. Though it took birth in 1838, one of the youngest social sciences, but seeing the present socio-economic conditions locally and globally, sociology has tremendous promises to keep up. It is left to young sociologists on how we are able to utilize this wonderful subject to make this world a better place to live. Thank you and happy learning.